Our next presenter is Emily Tomayko. Her presentation is Healthy Children, Strong Families 2. It's a randomized health lifestyle intervention for American Indian families. Welcome, Emily.
I'd like to start first by acknowledging our partners in this work who have been deeply engaged in all aspects of the project I'll be presenting today, some for over a decade. And for this version of the project, it includes 4 rural tribal communities and an urban health clinic serving American Indians, along with multiple academic partners. So we came together to this work in recognition, as we've heard a lot about, of the significant health disparities that are facing American Indian families across a wide range of outcomes, and we know that this is true not only for adults but also for children. And in our work, we focus on the disproportionate risk that American Indian children face with regards to childhood obesity. And we know that this is a very rapidly increasing health issue across the country, and that early childhood is particularly critical for establishing healthy weight, because often this obesity tracks into adulthood. So we know that this is a critical time for the development of diet and activity behaviors and other risk factors for obesity. And when we talk about behaviors, as we've been talking a lot about the foods that we eat, we're really talking about things at an individual level. So the foods that are consumed, the activities that these children are engaging in. But we work with children who are 2 to 5, and with these children, we recognize that they're significantly influenced by the adult caregivers in their lives. So we know that at this individual level, there's these significant adult caregivers. They're nested within this family unit that is then within the broader community. So at all of these levels, there are factors that are influencing the individual child health and wellness. So with this in mind, we worked on the Healthy Children, Strong Families program, which is a community-engaged approach to improve early child health by targeting that family home environment. And we developed an obesity prevention toolkit. And it was really meant to be utilized by an adult and child within that family structure in recognition of that dynamic, and based on the approach of the elders passing on to the next generation. So in the first version of this project, we had 4 targets of the toolkit to increase fruit and vegetable consumption and physical activity while decreasing screen time and added sugar intake. We were able to successfully pilot test with 4 partner communities in Wisconsin, and we did see some really promising improvements in health behaviors. So we sought to expand that nationally to 5 communities. We added some novel obesity risk factor targets to the intervention of stress and sleep. At the request of the community partners, we have an active control group for this randomized trial focused on child safety, and we also included some social support mechanisms to support families as they're making these behavior changes. So we sought to engage 450 families across these 5 communities, an adult-child pair within that family, and they were randomized to either start with that wellness journey or the safety journey for 1 year, and intervention materials were mailed to their home. But at the end of the year, they switched journeys, so at the end, all families received both interventions. So to reiterate, we built in Healthy Children 2 upon the 4 targets of the original project to increase fruit and vegetable consumption and physical activity while decreasing screen time and added sugars, but wanted to focus on those pieces of managing stress and improving sleep. And the intervention was sent through monthly mailings to these families that had 3 main components. One was the lesson, what I was on the previous slide, and it was shown here, some of the educational materials. There was always supporting materials like pedometers and jump ropes, apple cores, and every lesson had a child book that was focused on one of those 6 intervention targets. For Healthy Children 2, we were able to recruit 100% of our goal, and this was largely in part because of our amazing community-based site coordinators that we work closely with. And at the end of year 1, which is what I'll be focusing on today, we had pretty low dropout, so pretty significant engagement by the families who participated. At the beginning of the program, you'll see in the blue for the children, remember these are 2 to 5 years old, a little over 50% were at a healthy weight. For the adults, it was around 18%. We were also really interested in the course of this project in looking at a lot of the behaviors around those 6 targets and wanted to talk a little bit about the nutrition. So we looked at the diets of both the adults and the children, and we were able to group them using some modeling into several patterns. And these were different for the adults and children that explained a lot of the variation in the diet. And when we looked at them for the adults and children, we saw that they were related. But also when we looked at the end of that year, so after these families had been engaging with the program and the intervention material for those families in the wellness journey, that they actually significantly improved their diet patterns over the course of that year. So when looking at the other behavioral outcomes for those wellness families, so the families who started with that wellness journey first, the adults reported more moderate to vigorous physical activity. We saw some trends for a reduction in screen time, and we saw some really promising findings among the adults reporting their readiness to change at the end of that year for a lot of the targeted health behaviors. We also are interested in looking at weight status, and we're starting to try to unpack this and thinking about these as young children. This is a time of growth and development, so we're really trying to figure out in terms of our intervention what this means. We saw some trends for reductions for the children who were overweight at the beginning, but we're really looking at that now. Another factor that we noted was significant levels of food insecurity among our families. That were particularly high for the families in the urban setting, which was about half of the families. And we know from our data and from other studies that this is associated with less optimal diet patterns, and it may have had some impact on their ability to engage with our program. So we know that there were family-level challenges, but there were also really significant successes. There was really amazing family resiliency and also some important community-level changes that were supporting the behavior changes that we saw. High participant satisfaction with the program, and I mentioned our success with local administration of the project. So what our hope is for the future is really to continue to work with these amazing partners, and we're really interested in looking to see if any of the seeds that were planted in this project will really continue to grow and produce health and wellness for these families with young children. Thank you.